The Ads Ventures channel is known for documenting adventurous road trips, van life, and car camping. But on October 31st, 2022, the creator, Ads, decided to visit a supposedly haunted forest. What began as a routine sunset exploration slowly transformed into a night filled with unexpected tension and unsettling surprises. He had planned to arrive before dark to scout the area. Unfortunately, the daylight was fading faster than expected, and he had to make do with the little light that remained. The closest place he could park the van was along a small path near the cemetery, which bordered the forest. From there, he would continue on foot. According to local lore, the cemetery was haunted by restless spirits. The story went that one night, someone had entered the woods and taken their own life there, making the place feel even more eerie. Intrigued by this, the adventurer ventured into the forest with a mix of excitement and caution. He carried a small stove, planning to make hot chocolate or a chai latte, joking that the smell might even attract some ghosts. He found himself stopping frequently, trying to distinguish the normal sounds of the forest from something more sinister.
And to be honest with you, I'm just sort of winging it. I don't know where. What the hell was that? What's that? I've come up to that bit where the light was just shining. What? It's moved. I'm gonna have to go and check that out. Where the hell is it coming from? This might have been what was reflecting that light. It says, if you find this card, please pay it forward to do something kind today. Well, it looks like there's some sort of drop-off down here. It goes down quite far. I mean, the last thing I want to do is stack it down a hill. There are a lot of noises in these woods, but at the same time, if I was in the woods on a normal night, I'd just think it's normal. It's only because I'm thinking I'm on a ghost hunt, so every little noise, I'm like, is that a ghost? But in all honesty, it's fine. It's frogs and pigeons.
He tried to stay calm and focused, but as he stepped on the uneven ground, his flashlight's beam fell at a strange angle, casting a peculiar glow over the cemetery. In a moment of confusion, he looked up and thought he saw the silhouette of a man standing among the graves.
Right, I'm starting to get a little bit lost, not going to lie. But I think I'm going to head back towards the way that I came because I swear I keep seeing someone. Hold on. There's no one there, but I swear there was. I think I'm gonna go this way, to be honest with you. What the hell? That is a person. I'm not even joking. What the I can't see anything. Oh, what was that?
His body reacted before his mind could process it. The figure seemed motionless, upright, and out of place. Without stopping, he turned around and ran as fast as he could back to the path. When he finally reached the van, he got in quickly and locked the doors. Sitting there in the silence, he tried to think clearly. He admitted that what he had seen could have many explanations. It could have been a tree, a shadow, or even just his imagination reacting to the surroundings. But in that moment, alone in a dark cemetery, it had felt very real. At the end of the night, he set up a comfortable place to sleep, using a heater to stay warm, and reflected on the unique experience. Morning brought clarity, showing the cemetery, the graveyard, and the surrounding forest in full detail under the daylight. The video concluded with a thank you to his followers and a reminder of the channel's adventurous spirit. We meet Valerie again, a young woman who decided to explore the world by hitchhiking, a fairly risky way to travel, especially in areas that aren't always considered safe. Throughout her trip, she has faced multiple difficult situations, some more intense than others, and this occasion doesn't seem any simpler. Here we see her in Taiwan, looking for a place she had wanted to visit for a long time, Lulu Hot Springs. After a 6-hour journey, she finally reaches it without major setbacks. She enjoys the hot springs and the tranquility of the surroundings, deciding to spend the night there. It is important to note that she only had one meal left and had exerted considerable physical effort to reach the location. This wasn't a casual stop. It was something she had worked hard to achieve, and her real problems begin when it's time to leave.
Also make sure to leave no trace. Take your rubbish with you so the space will remain as natural as possible. Wow, I'm really exhausted from yesterday and today as well. I haven't had a proper meal in 18 hours. I actually packed 2 boxes of fried rice, but since it was still warm when he packed it and I didn't let it cool down, the condensation made it going off pretty quickly, so I can't eat it anymore. And yeah, my lack of water, of course. I'm usually very fit when it comes to hiking, but as I said, this one was pretty tough, and I know some people, like the owner of my hostel where I stayed before, he said he couldn't make it, and I've read on a Google review that some people take like 8 hours to complete, or 9 hours even, so it depends on your condition and your state. After about 3 hours of climbing vertically with close to no break, because the bugs wouldn't let me rest, I made it to the top. Hallelujah. I made it. Oh God. To the top. Oh. From now on it goes downwards, so it's easier, but be aware it's also very slippery. That's definitely the wildest part. You can hardly see any path. My last bit of water. But almost there. I'm so lucky. I was just walking down the last kilometers and then the star stopped and asked me if I wanted to hop on. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Oh God. Oh, this lift was perfect. And then the second angel appeared and I got another lift. Thank you, friendly man. That was so good. I would definitely have a different relationship to water now. Wow, my legs are so destroyed. It looks like cave carvings. Wow, yeah, I really need a shower now. I don't know how I can get even luckier. Now the owner of the restaurant where I left my bags asked me where I'm gonna sleep next night, like tonight, and I was like, I have no idea, because I'm always flexible. I always just check what makes sense to go next. And now she offered me to stay here.
Valerie pushed herself to the max, truly to the limit. She faced a trail like that with almost no food and carrying very little water, and that kind of decision can become dangerous very quickly. It's not just about tiredness, it's dehydration, dizziness, and the fatigue that clouds your judgment. If you look closely, some parts of the trail were covered by dense vegetation, the kind where you can barely see what's in front of you. That is exactly the type of place where venomous snakes or other wild animals could hide. What saved her, honestly, was her physical condition. She is strong, she trains, and that made a huge difference. She managed to pull through, but not without consequences. After finally eating, she completely collapsed and fell asleep almost instantly, exhausted. needing real rest before she could move the next day. This time, everything ended well. But knowing Valerie and the way she travels, I doubt this will be the last intense situation she faces. What do you think? The Urban Rats channel is known for camping in places where most people would never dare to spend the night. In this episode, published on February 8th, 2025, Paul decided to sleep on a brand new billboard in Bolton, a high and exposed spot that promised tranquility. But something about that night felt strange from the start, though he couldn't explain exactly why. He climbed up carefully, each step making his heart beat faster, and spread a tarp over the railing to block the lights and the wind. The city glowed innocently below, but the height and isolation made the silence feel unnatural. Even without a proper meal, Paul tried to settle in, but shadows moved beneath him, and distant noises kept unsettling him. He felt as if something was watching him, just out of sight. And around 1 a.m., the silence broke. Loud music began to play from somewhere below, accompanied by footsteps and the crackling of a small fire.
Someone's blasting some tunes out. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm gonna go and investigate. There's somebody just at the side of this porta cabin here.
Paul's stomach tightened as he noticed a man wandering near the edge of the lot, moving aimlessly and sometimes stopping to stare into the darkness. Every step made Paul freeze, and every small movement the man made felt like a threat. At one point, the man came dangerously close to the railing, stopped, and looked directly up at him, staring fixedly. For a few long, tense seconds, Paul held his breath, his heart pounding, until finally, the figure turned and disappeared into the night.
He's over there, burning the fire up. See? It's got a fire burning. Look. Ambulance over there. Yeah, he's burning fires, look, he's throwing them about the yard. There's the guy. That's that guy. That is the guy what's just been in this yard. No way.
After that, Paul could barely sleep. Every tiny creak in the darkness, every distant shout or snapping twig made him jump, his nerves on edge throughout the night. The night felt alive with invisible threats, and the city below transformed into a labyrinth of danger and shadows. At dawn, frost covered everything, and Paul carefully climbed down the railing, using a sheet as a makeshift rope, moving quickly to vanish into the streets as if he had never been there. It had been a cold and distressing night, full of small scares and moments that tested his courage. Paul had climbed a billboard, survived, and made it through. But the echoes of those footsteps, the flickers of the fire, and the feeling of being watched remained long after he left. Diana, the woman behind the Wonderlust Diana channel, is passionate about travel and lives full-time in her SUV, traveling across the United States and enjoying a type of freedom that few people choose to pursue. In this video, we see her cleaning her car, reorganizing her limited space, and preparing her bed for the night, all in a spot near Las Vegas that seemed quite secluded. But the situation changes when a white car pulls up nearby, and the person at the wheel decides to approach her. Let's see what happens next.
Yeah, so guys, this guy just came up to me. He's over there. I think this is his regular spot where he, introduced illegal substance. So he's asking me, like, if I want to, get any illegal substance like crystals and stuff like that. So I'm like, no man, I don't do this kind of stuff. And yeah, so he was here talking, so he heard my accent, and he's like, man, you Caribbean and stuff like that. So I said, yeah, I'm from Jamaica. So he's like, yeah, so that means you're 420 friendly. And I was like, I don't do any of that stuff. So he was trying to persuade me into getting, you know, illegal substance. And I had to stop him. I was like, yo, you know, I am a blogger. I am wired from head to toe. I got microphone on me. I am so wired like you never seen before. So I really don't want this conversation around me. Yeah, I have tracking system on me. I got all these stuff on me, and I'm wired from head to toe. I am a blogger. So anyway, it's like, okay, never mind, and he left. So he's just looping around down there, you know, and trying to find his next victim. So guys, just be careful on the road. Just be careful. Please be careful on the road. Let me see if I could point my camera down there so you could see the guy just looping around in this white car. So that's the guy. That's the car. I'm not sure if you can see him, but yeah, that's the car. He's just hanging around trying to sell me illegal substance, just watching me. That's him right there. Guys, just be careful in these little towns. Not because you think it's a little town, they don't have all these things going on. It's Nevada, and it's just crazy. The guy's just looping around down there. He's still down there in a white vehicle.
From what Diana explains, the man appears to be someone dealing illegal substances, loitering in the area, and hoping to find people to sell to. It is not entirely unusual in certain places, but that doesn't make it any less uncomfortable, especially when you're alone in a secluded spot. Although he might not seem like a direct threat at first, situations like this can easily escalate, and people involved in those types of activities don't always have good intentions. When something feels off, it's generally better to be cautious than to ignore it. But the situation doesn't end there. The man keeps circling in the background, which can be clearly seen in the footage, and eventually decides to approach Diana again. Let's continue.
Hanging around down there and asking me if I'm gonna spend the night here. And I said no, I'm just organizing my vehicle and then I'm leaving. So he's, yeah. And once I tell him, man, you can't have this conversation around me. I'm a blogger. I am loaded with equipment like tracking device. I am loaded with cameras and tracking device. And, you know, he's like, never mind. And he left. But he's still hanging around far away down there to see what I'm doing. So be careful, guys. Be careful of these people.
In the end, Diana decided to leave and put some distance between herself and the man, which was probably the smartest move she could have made. When you are parked in a secluded spot, far from a main road where cars pass too quickly to notice anything, the night can become much more complicated than you expect. Someone involved in illegal activities might feel threatened by another person nearby and react unpredictably. And when you are alone, that is not a risk worth taking. Personally, I think she made the right call. She changed her location completely, and the night ended peacefully with a good meal and some well-deserved rest. Especially after that interaction, where she made it clear she knew where she was and that she had GPS tracking and microphones, reducing any potential risk. It was a smart move. What do you think? Did Diana have a reason to be worried? Was leaving the right thing to do? Madison Clyale is a well-known content creator who has built a large following thanks to her outdoor videos. She is often seen building shelters from scratch, camping alone, or carrying out various projects in the woods that are not easy to do without help. In this video, She is in the forest with her dog, Cairo, planning to spend the night there. True to her style, she doesn't just set up a simple tent. Instead, she begins building an elevated platform for her sleeping area so that she doesn't have to sleep directly on the ground. At first, everything seems quiet. The atmosphere feels peaceful. Nothing suggests that anything is wrong. And suddenly, she stops what she was doing and runs back to camp. Let's see what made her react that way.
For every hard tree, I want to find 2 easy ones that are just on the ground, but these are all pretty big. Someone's coming through on a quad, so I had to run over to Kiro because he'll chase after the machine. And I dropped my saw on the way, so I wasn't running with the saw. I don't know where I put it. I think they saw me, but I don't want them to hear me and get a good look at me because I am sleeping here. And I'm sure they're really nice people just out for a fun day. Still, I'm trying to lay low and be stealthy. I don't really want anyone to know that I'm out here. It's not a trafficked area. Those will probably be the only people that come through today.
She ran back to camp because there was a real risk that Cairo would react instinctively to the people passing by. He might have tried to protect her or even chase after them. And in a forest like that, there is always the possibility of a dog getting lost. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and the situation was resolved quickly. Madison also explains that she doesn't want to be seen or heard, especially since she plans to spend the night there. And honestly, that makes sense. No one wants unexpected visitors in the middle of the night while camping in a secluded spot. But the day doesn't end there. As evening falls, the forest begins to sound different, and the noises around her start to feel more intense. Let's continue.
Hero hears those coyotes. They're over on the hill over there. That the fire scares away the animals and keeps them away from your campsite, so I definitely am going to keep it going for as long as possible. It's a thing here in BC where people put coyote jackets on their small dogs, so it has these big spikes along the back of the spine and a couple. Please tell me you can hear that. That makes me scared, but it's okay. I heard something. Anyways, okay, and then on this side, I don't need a peg. I've got little baby Kiro sleeping inside, and he's away from the smoke, and it just latches on like that. And then if any wind does get in here, I'm just gonna have my bag here blocking it. And it's also up off the ground, and I put my food bag over on a tree over there. I will not be sleeping with that tonight. They're getting closer, and it's getting dark. Look how dark it is. They're like playing and yapping. Kiro is staring at something very intensely. I was gonna put on my earbuds, but I'm not gonna do that because I want to be able to hear if something's approaching. I am going to listen to an audiobook. We will see you in the morning. It's like 1:30, and I hear lots of noises.
The night passed without major incident for Madison, but the tension caused by the coyotes howling closer and closer was definitely felt. When you are alone in the woods and start to hear those sounds, it is hard to stay completely calm. Fortunately, Madison has experience. She knows how to interpret situations, when they might escalate, and when it is time to retreat. This time, it didn't come to that. That doesn't mean wild animals aren't dangerous. Even with an axe nearby and Cairo by her side, things could have taken a much darker turn if one or more animals had decided to get too close. I'm glad the night ended in peace. It takes real courage to camp alone like that, and Madison clearly has it. Another trip by Taiga Explorer took him into the heart of winter on March 2nd, 2024. The temperature was around -1 degree Celsius, and a week of bad weather was approaching, but he needed to complete his winter tracking route. He left the sled behind to lighten the load and packed his snowmobile with gear, though the extra weight made the journey more difficult. The snowmobile sank into the snow in some parts, but he pushed on, determined to reach the remote cabin at the end of the trail. Upon arriving, he felt immediate relief. The roof had not collapsed, and inside there was a massive stockpile of firewood. The sight was comforting because, in such a cold place, running out of fuel could be disastrous. He set to work chopping wood, cleaning the stove, and even trying his luck, fishing nearby for a potential dinner. But the day was far from simple. His chainsaw wouldn't start properly, forcing him to split wood with an axe. Every small repair was tense under the biting cold. At one point, even checking the spark plug or carburetor became complicated. As evening fell, he decided to cover the snowmobile with a tarp, leaving it untouched until morning. With the cabin silent, he focused on drying clothes, stoking the fire, and preparing his simple meal. However, the creaks of the roof, the crackling of the stove, and the faint noises from the surrounding forest kept him on edge. At one point, the atmosphere became so unsettling that every nerve in his body was tight with tension.
Вот этот звук только что был раза в 2 сильнее. По-моему, вся изба ходуном ходит. От нагрева пошли какие-то процессы. Доброе утро. Утренний чай, потом сборы и буду выдвигаться по дорогу. Так, все. Спасибо этому дому. Я уже собрался. Собрал снегоход, готов выдвигаться в дорогу.
The floorboards creaked. The walls let out soft moans. Even near the window, faint cracking sounds echoed throughout the shelter. Every noise made him wonder if there was something or someone outside. He didn't dare go out to check. Instead, he stayed inside through the night, hoping for the best. At dawn, after having some tea and gathering his things, he prepared to continue on his way. The night had tested his patience, skills, and nerves, leaving a lingering question. What other surprises might the forest hold just beyond the trees?